Hello. So in this video, I thought like I'll just cover all those daily learnings or say monthly or quarterly learnings that I continuously try to read, listen, and practice so that I am up to date with what is happening with the testing environment. So when you or me or anybody who tells themselves as a tester, I think personally that they should know three things: front-end testing, back-end, and API testing, at least the basics. So to cover those basics and make sure that you are not having a left out feeling of you are not knowing this or you are not practicing this, it's always essential that we at least do it from our end personally on whatever resources that are available. So I just made a small tracker where I will do this at least on a quarterly basis just to make sure that I'm doing. But I will follow these days and I will do it as a course, which means like I will try to do it on a consistent basis until at least I take one of those tracks. So for example, we'll start with front end testing. So I'll try to create, let's say I have started with front end testing. So as a prerequisite, I'll try to create one Git page, a page where I will take like, okay, this is the web page that I'm considering, and I will add those data, whichever URL I'm trying to work on. So I will add that, have it handy, so that whatever artifacts that I'm creating, say the test cases or the scenario or the defects that I'm seeing, so whichever I want to look into, I just make sure that I have it in one place. And I thought Git could be an easy place to do that. So I create a Git web page and Jira. So this is always better because I will know what is my current progress and where is my track, what are the work that is pending. So if you take Jira, there is a individual version that you can avail and it is free. It is not any amount and I think like minimum 5 members can interact with you on that particular Jira page. So if your friends are interested, you can form a team and then start working on that one. Otherwise, you can use Trello as well. So these are just my suggestions because I have used it already, but it's up to you, whichever you want to try it. So on day one, let's say I'm trying to recollect what are the SDLC models, what are the what are the different testing principles that we are going through, and what are those things that we can possibly make use of. Then TDLC. So I often take what are the different ways of actually running this life cycle. So my favorite one is like verification validation, where development and testing go hand in hand. And then what are the different testing environments, what are the different types of testings, all possible things. I just have a quick glance or go through, so I just remember the exact words or technical jargons. And then test planning. So I'll make sure like how do I estimate it, how do I prepare a strategy of do the validation of this particular web page, or how do I track the defects. So all these estimation and planning, what are the metrics that is used in general, that is so common around, so that I used to understand and devise it for whichever web page I have chosen. And then monitoring and control as well, what are the principles, how to devise it in your project. So those things I take care here. And then decode a web page. Now when I have chosen a particular web page, I'll not look into the anything till I come to this stage. So now I take it afresh and then try to decode like what are the different functionalities, that are what are the different pages, how I can split it into a set or test set, or how do I write these test cases. I try to work it on day three. Now I have done that on day four, say analyzing the requirements. So I try to create my own requirement document, but after seeing the web page, you can try to decide on what could be the requirements. You can devise a set of backlogs in the Jira and then have it ready. In that way, it will be easy for you to write different things, seeing something visually. So I practice it regularly, and I'm sure like if you practice it, it will be helpful for you as well when you do the actual sprint planning and all in your project. Next is like I start writing the test scenarios, test cases from the requirements. I create myself a traceability matrix, because that is when you know which are the requirements that you have to write scenarios and test cases, which have you have clubbed and worked on with the same test case. And then what are the different test design techniques. So this is not like mandatory that you have to use all the test design techniques, but I'll try and accommodate one or two test design techniques to be used in my test cases. So I remember all those concepts well. And what are the test case mandatories? So when I tell test case mandatories, it will generally be, so how I have to write a null, a validation, a mandatory validation, what are the positive cases, what are the negative flows that I have to validate, what are the ways that it will fail. So those things, if we know prioritize first, then it will, the test cases will fall in place. So that's my perception. And then day five, say I start with test data creation and then write the entry and exit criteria. So what are those things that I need, preconditions. I'll also try to create one. I know like it will not have SIT and UIT phase and all, but still I'll try to cover what are those things. Say 3 days I have it for SIT or 2 day for UIT. So what is that entry and exit criteria for that? So day six, let's say I have the test execution. So I do functional QA, I do regression. So I myself will split like, okay, these are the new functionalities, these are like regression we have to do. What are the impact analysis? I mandatorily create the document because that will help you understand like how you can figure out which are those places that you have to concentrate on for the regression and all. And then test execution reporting, that is very very important because end of the day whatever you have done, only your report is going to talk for it. So I create a very neat reporting, say at least in Excel. Otherwise, you can use, there are other tools as well. Even Mural, it will allow you to create one or two. I have you tried to utilize Mural once. So it's up to you. Try all possible no trackers and tools that are available. And I'll tell you, like at least to create one bare minimum project out of any tool, it is free. So try to utilize those different tools available. And then the defect creation. So now, as I start, so day six, day seven, day eight, day nine, I take all these 4 days to do the execution little by little. So in the meantime, I'll start creating defects. What are the bug format I'll decide. So every time I try to take one different bug format. I check like which works, which is like looking good and all. So bug format and how I do the retesting. Obviously, if there is bugs, I cannot report it, but I'll check if I can utilize and try to do a test in a different way for a different data or a different perspective of the same scenario if it works that way. And so I'll also try to understand the domain knowledge of how this works. This really helps me because like every time, one time I try to take Amazon page, one time I try to take a banking page, one time I try to take say Nike or any sports page. So this way I'm able to understand how this entire domain works, how what are the functionalities that they cover in general. So I try to analyze that, and I try to create one document where I will tell like what are the testing tools I used, what are those things. So it will be easy for me later to come back and check, okay, if I'm opening this project, then I will have an idea of how I use this particular tool. Say for example, here Jira I'm using, and for say I'm using Mural to create my bugs or Mural to create the impact analysis document. So that way I'll know like this project utilized Mural. So this is how I devise my plan, and I practice for 2 days. And last day evaluation, generally it will be like I'll try to review my entire work and see like how I have done it, what else better I could have done, how much time I wasted in which day or which particular functionality or which particular process took a lot of time, how I can overcome it. So this is how I try to analyze myself. So this can be bare minimum if you are starting to learn testing, front end testing, bare minimum you should have that. There are a lot of other things you should learn for sure. Bare minimum, if you have this, you will be able to do a basic evaluation in a good way. So this is all I thought like I will try to add this data here so that it can be a repository for freshers or anyone who wants to have it as a practice to self-evaluate themselves after how many years of experience they may have. So I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have come till this end, like, share, and subscribe if you think that this content is really helpful. Thank you.